Hello, this video will show you how to set up a class to assess using letter grades. In order to do this, you're going to link your assessments to standards. In the assessment and grading overview, there is a link here to a PowerPoint that shows you how to do this. I will do this in my gradebook now. I go to PowerTeacher Gradebook and then to Preferences. I click on Standards and I choose Most Recent. Please note that the default here is a mean. I change it to most recent, and I have input 5 summative assessments for the semester. This number can be changed, and then the weighting and percentage of these will change accordingly. This should be agreed on by your PLC. Please note that for using letter grades, this box, using assignment scores, should be unchecked. The default is for it to be checked. Therefore, you will need to uncheck this box for each of your classes. Once this is done, we come to the actual grade setup for our classes. In the grade setup, I can see the grade scale that I am using in the course. Although because I am entering the letter grade, the numerical value that the computer will automatically apply to each assignment needs to be made clear to students. A 100% will never be an attainable grade, and the actual percent that the computer applies is irrelevant if you are determining a final grade using letter grades. In terms of calculating the grades themselves, you should do this in the S1 box. The default is at total points. You should change this to term and standards weights. Rather than weighting the term and the standard, we are going to weight these at 0. We cannot remove them. And we are going to add the standards for the course itself. I am adding these 3 standards for my class. I need to weight these. The weighting itself should be determined by the PLC and should be made clear to all students and parents. The weighting could be different as it is here, otherwise the assumption by parents will likely be that the weighting for all of these is the same. As I add assignments, therefore, I'm going to link these to my standards using this tab. Every time I add an assignment, I need to make a very clear title. Boundary assignment, and this is the category box which must be checked. In the past, I had various categories which were essentially the same as my learning goals or standards. This year, however, we are suggesting that you use only formative and summative. Because it is impossible to remove these from these boxes, your box can become crowded. Therefore, a trick for moving these to the bottom is to add a letter Z or Z to the top, and this will move this assignment to the bottom, at least getting it out of your immediate field of vision. For this assignment, which is formative, I have entered default values for this category so that when I choose it, the color is set, the abbreviation is present, the number of points is set, and it is set default to letter grade rather than to points. This number of points possible should be decided on by your PLC, although it is important to note that when you're entering letter grades, it is irrelevant. That is to say, a student who receives a low grade on a 100-point assignment will affect his grade no less than one who achieves a low grade on a 10-point assignment. Therefore, a standard value is desirable. Notice that I have unchecked the Include in Final Grade box because this category is formative. I have deleted this again, and so I will add it for a third time for your viewing pleasure. Now, in this box, I need to add benchmarks. This should come from your unit planning template, and I will add this here for student and parent reference. I also need to add a link here to the rubric that I'm going to use, which in this case can be found here. I will link this so that students and parents can see the standards for achievement that are desired in this assignment. Note that this is quite a lot of work. Therefore, a simple trick for adding another standard for this because I failed to do that, so I'm sorry. Let me do this. So I'm going to use all three of these standards on this assignment. Now at this point, I have a choice for how I wish to do this. I have two ways. First of all, I could check all three boxes and simply save this. Thus, when I hit this S button, it will pop out the Standards tab, and I can see and enter scores for all three categories for students. When I then go to Student View, I will be able to see how my students have done in these various categories. Please note that ironically, students cannot see the student view. Therefore, if you use this method, this information will be invisible to students. One way to give them access to this information is to right-click in here and go to Score Inspector. In this comment box, you can add the information for your students and even add a comment about their performance. This will then be visible to the students while you are still able to track their performance using the student view. This can be, however, a lot of work, entering comments and letter grades for each student. So there is another way to do this, which is to simply enter the single standard and then to copy this assignment. You can copy it here, the same assignment, to the same class and to other sections of the course if you have them. And then you can change the standard here so that it will reflect a different standard. This is double dipping in terms of work in terms of the setup of the assignment. Please note you can also copy it here. However, you will then not have to change or enter manually comments for each student. And at the same time, you will be able to track their performance according to these standards. I will then enter the grades into the main category here. And I should be able to see their performance.